I can still hear the clink of champagne glasses and the low hum of happy conversation when my brother Ryan stood up to give his best man toast at my wedding reception. The Denver ballroom was everything I'd dreamed: twinkle lights, white peonies, the Rockies glowing pink outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. I'd spent 14 months planning every detail, while Ryan spent 0 seconds helping. He tapped his knife against his glass, grinning that same golden boy grin Mom had been falling for since he was 6. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, voice carrying, "I've known Sophie my whole life. She's always been the responsible one, the planner, the one who makes everything perfect. But today, on her big day, I have a little gift to make sure she's really one of us." Nervous laughter rippled through the room. He slid a small silver-wrapped box across the head table. "Open it, sis." I unwrapped it with a forced smile. Inside, a commercial DNA test kit. The kind you see in grocery store aisles. The room went dead quiet. Ryan kept going, enjoying the silence. "Just to make sure the bride is really family, you know. We've always joked Sophie looks nothing like the rest of us. Figured it was time to find out for sure." Mom tittered nervously from her seat. Dad stared at his plate like it might save him. Mateo, my brand new husband, tensed beside me. Jasmine, my maid of honor, looked ready to vault the table. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Ryan raised his glass higher. "To truth, right, Soph." Everyone waited for me to laugh it off. Instead I picked up the kit, turned it over in my hands, and said, loud enough for the microphone to catch, "Funny. I was going to wait until dessert for my surprise, but okay." I stood, walked to the DJ booth, and handed him a flash drive I'd carried in my garter all night. "Play track 1, please." The lights dimmed. A projector screen dropped. The first slide appeared, "Let's talk about family, shall we?" I looked straight at Ryan. "You want truth? Let's get the truth." The room held its breath. Ryan's smile faltered for the first time in 33 years. Because I'd already taken the test. And the results weren't going to ruin my wedding day. They were going to ruin his entire life. The reception continued like nothing happened. Guests laughed it off as brother-sister banter. The jazz band played on. But I felt the shift. Eyes lingered a little too long. Whispers followed me to the cake table. Ryan clapped me on the back as I cut the cake. "Come on, Soph. It's funny. You've always been the odd one out anyway." Mom overheard and laughed too loudly. "He's just teasing, Claire Bear. You know how he is." I smiled through gritted teeth. "Of course. Family joke." Mateo pulled me aside during the father-daughter dance. "That wasn't funny. You okay?" I shook my head. "Not even close." Jasmine cornered me in the bathroom. "Your brother is a walking red flag. Why does he hate you so much?" I didn't have an answer. Not then. The DNA kit sat on my nightstand during our honeymoon in Cabo. Mateo wanted to throw it away. I wouldn't let him. "I need to know." I swabbed my cheek and mailed it from the resort post office. The results email came 3 weeks later, while we were unpacking at home. Subject: Your ancestry results are ready. I opened it alone in the bathroom. 9% match to my mother's side. But the paternal side? No match to Richard Bennett. Instead, a close match to Daniel Whitaker. Dad's old business partner from the 90s. The one who moved to California right after I was born. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I Googled Daniel Whitaker. First result, obituary. Died 3 years ago. Survivors, wife, 2 sons. No mention of a daughter. The next day I called the testing company. They confirmed, half-sibling match to a man named Victor Whitaker. Daniel's oldest son. My half-brother. I didn't cry. I got angry. Ryan's joke wasn't random. He'd known. Or suspected. And he'd used my wedding to humiliate me with it. I booked a private investigator the next morning. $5,000 retainer. Worth every penny. Because if Ryan wanted to play with fire, I was about to burn his whole world down. The PI's report arrived on a Tuesday, thick envelope, no return address. I opened it at the kitchen table while Mateo was at work. Page 1, Victor Whitaker's photo. Same eyes as mine. Same crooked smile. Page 2, Mom's affair timeline. 1991 to 1993. Hotel receipts, love letters, even a grainy photo of Mom and Daniel at a company Christmas party, Dad cropped out of frame. Page 3, the Real bomb. Daniel Whitaker's will. He'd left a trust for any biological children, known or unknown. $4. $2 million, split equally. Victor had already claimed his half. My half was unclaimed, because no one knew I existed. Page 4, Ryan's bank records. 6 months ago, right after Grandma's death, Ryan had withdrawn $87,000 from her estate for taxes. Only there were no taxes. He'd paid off his Porsche and Whitney's engagement ring. I sat back, heart pounding. Ryan wasn't just cruel. He was terrified. He knew about the affair. He'd been covering it up to protect his inheritance. I called Victor. He answered on the second ring, voice cautious. Isabella. Sophie, I corrected. He exhaled. I've been waiting for this call. We met in Boulder the next weekend. He brought the trust paperwork. Daniel had updated the will 6 months before he died, adding a DNA clause. All I had to do was submit my test. The money would transfer in 30 days. Victor hugged me like he'd known me forever. Dad talked about you all the time, he said. He wanted to find you. Mom wouldn't let him. I drove home shaking. Not from sadness. From power. I printed everything. Made copies. Put them in a folder labeled for Ryan's eyes only. Then I waited for the perfect moment. It came sooner than I expected. Mom called Sunday night. Your father's having chest pains. We need you to come home. I smiled into the phone. I'll be there. And I'm bringing a surprise. The family dinner was scheduled for the following weekend. Ryan's engagement party. Perfect timing. I booked the private room at the country club. Paid for it myself. And I RSVP'd +1, special guest, Victor Whitaker. Let the games begin. The country club dining room smelled of prime rib and desperation. Round tables, white linens, Whitney's Instagram perfect centerpieces. Ryan stood at the front in his new tux, arm around his fiancée, grinning like he'd invented happiness. Mom fluttered around in pearls, Dad nursed a scotch, and Whitney, live-streamed everything. I walked in 5 minutes late, Victor at my side. Same eyes as mine. Same crooked smile. The room went quiet. Ryan's face drained of color. Mom dropped her champagne flute. Dad just stared. I smiled the sweetest smile I'd practiced in the mirror all week. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Victor Whitaker. My half-brother. Whitney's phone shook. The live chat exploded. Wait, what? Ryan recovered first, fake laughing. Soph, come on. Bad joke. I handed him the folder. Not a joke. Open it. He did. Page by page, DNA results, Mom's love letters, Daniel's will, the $4. 2 million trust. His hands started shaking. Mom tried to grab the papers. This is private. I stepped back. Private like the affair you hid for 31 years. Or private like the money Ryan stole from Grandma's estate to buy Whitney's ring. Gasps. Phone's up. Whitney whispered, turn it off, but Brittany kept filming. I kept going, voice calm. Daniel Whitaker left half his estate to any biological children. Victor already claimed his share. Mine transfers in 24 hours. Which means, Ryan, you're half of Grandma's house, the cabin, everything you thought was yours, isn't. Ryan lunged for the folder. Dad finally spoke.
聚众搞事，加上大脑管道的守门员掏蛋白反水，他们联合强行打断神经元之间的信号传输，神经元之间失去联络，久而久之就会凋零死亡，而这带来的是记忆的灾难。
Here's yours. Victor stepped forward, voice gentle. Dad always wondered what happened to the little girl with the crooked smile. Turns out she grew up just fine without any of you. I took Mateo's hand and walked out. Behind me, the room erupted. Whitney screaming at Ryan. Mom wailing. Brittany still live streaming the meltdown. I didn't look back. The fallout was beautiful in its chaos. Whitney canceled the engagement the next morning. Her final Instagram story, a black screen with white text, sometimes love isn't enough when it's built on lies. The ring went back to the jeweler. Ryan's Porsche got repossessed 2 weeks later. Mom and Dad's marriage lasted another month. Dad moved into a one-bedroom near the golf course. Mom stayed in the house alone, posting cryptic Bible verses about forgiveness nobody believed. Ryan tried every trick. Angry texts, you ruined my life. Then pleading ones, we're still family. I blocked him. The trust money hit my account on a quiet Thursday, $2. 1 million after taxes. I paid off our house, put half in a college fund for the kids we planned to have, and donated the rest to a local women's shelter in Grandma's name. Victor and I met for coffee once a month. He showed me pictures of Dad, Daniel, laughing on fishing trips I was never invited to. It hurt, but it also healed. Turns out chosen family is thicker than stolen blood. Jasmine threw me a real family party, just 10 people who actually loved me. We ate tacos on the porch and laughed until we cried. Ryan's last text came 6 months later, I'm sorry. I was scared of losing everything. I didn't reply. Some apologies aren't for the person who was hurt. They're for the person who did the hurting. I changed my last name legally to Whitaker Hart. A hyphen for the grandmother who raised me, a full name for the father who never got the chance. Sometimes people ask if I feel bad. I don't. I feel free. I used to think family was the people you were born to. Turns out family is the people who don't need a DNA test to love you. I'm Sophie Whitaker Hart. And this is the story of how my brother tried to destroy me with the truth, and accidentally handed me the best life I never knew I had. 4 years later I'm rocking on the porch swing of the little farmhouse Mateo, and I bought outside Boulder. Wildflowers paint the meadow gold, the Rockies stand guard in the distance, and our daughter Ellie, 3 years old, curls and crooked smile, is chasing butterflies with Victor's old fishing hat flopping over her head. Ryan lives in a 400-square-foot studio in Aurora. He sells used cars on commission and still tells anyone who'll listen that his psycho sister framed him. No one asks follow-up questions anymore. Mom sold the family house and moved to a 55-plus community in Tampa. She posts pictures of sunsets and captions them, finding peace after betrayal. Dad moved into a one-bedroom near us. He brings Ellie popsicles and calls her Captain. He never talks about the past unless I bring it up first. Some wounds only need quiet to heal. Victor and his wife come for Christmas and Father's Day. Ellie calls him Papa Vic and thinks it's normal to have two grandpas who never met. We light a candle for Daniel Whitaker every June 12th, his birthday. I finally got to say goodbye to the father I never knew I had. The trust money did its job. Ellie's college is paid for. The women's shelter in Denver has a new wing named after Grandma Evelyn. The rest sits in boring index funds, growing quietly, waiting for whatever dream we haven't thought of yet. I still get messages from strangers almost daily. Your story gave me the courage to leave my toxic parents. Your story helped me take that DNA test I was scared of. I answer every single one. Sometimes it's just a heart emoji. Sometimes it's a 3-page essay. Either way, it matters. Dad moved into a 1-bedroom near us. He brings Ellie popsicles and calls her Captain. He never talks about the past unless I bring it up first. Some wounds only need quiet to heal. Victor and his wife come for Christmas and Father's Day. Ellie calls him Papa Vic and thinks it's normal to have two grandpas who never met. We light a candle for Daniel Whitaker every June 12th, his birthday. I finally got to say goodbye to the father I never knew I had. The trust money did its job. Ellie's college is paid for. The women's shelter in Denver has a new wing named after Grandma Evelyn. The rest sits in boring index funds, growing quietly, waiting for whatever dream we haven't thought of yet. I still get messages from strangers almost daily. Your story gave me the courage to leave my toxic parents. Your story helped me take that DNA test I was scared of. I answer every single one. Sometimes it's just a heart emoji. Sometimes it's a 3-page essay. Either way, it matters. Comment below, have you ever faced such thing? Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.